We are back with part 2 to this series. The games we're about to cover are nothing short of intense, so sit yourselves comfortable and get ready for part 2 of scrims that happened week 1. To start with, ChiefAaron would fight True B. ChiefAaron would start the set by playing with only 7 players compared to True's 8 players, giving them an advantage. Despite this, True B would put up an incredible defense for the most part on ChiefAaron, managing to defend 3 different rushes. However, the pressure meant that they would fall short on mid control, meaning that ChiefAaron would be able to dominate, and with a large mistake from the defense would lose their egg, leaving ChiefAaron to clean them up to get the first win of the set. The second game would be a lot smoother for ChiefAaron, having a comfortable 9 players, getting a very early rush on True, winning the mid fight, and then would send 5 people to attack, with a double obby block in from Toxic and ChiefAaron getting the egg very quickly, and would clean the rest of the team with ease, giving ChiefAaron a 2-0 win. The next set would be between Mold A and ChiefAaron B. The game would start out pretty evenly for both teams, getting equally good pushes, but ChiefAaron would be the first to get the egg, with Accusated breaking it. Mold, however, hang on fairly well, keeping all their players alive and go for one last push, allowing Senzi to get the egg. Despite this, ChiefAaron would clean players one by one, ending the game with a victory for ChiefAaron B. Game 2 would interestingly be a side rush, meaning both teams would have to play very differently. Both teams would rush, but Mold's attack would be stopped pretty quickly, and ChiefAaron would go in for a push. Qmelon would do an incredible job killing people at their base, which would allow Phil Swift to take the egg, leaving ChiefAaron to kill the rest without a hitch, ending the set with a 2-0 victory to ChiefAaron B. Unfortunately, after this scrim happened, Mold would disband their clan, meaning all future games they were scheduled for would be automatically forfeited, and wins would be given to their respective clans. Anyway, on to the next game. The next game would probably be the most interesting game of week 1, with Empire B going against Kinetic A. Kinetic would play with a player down, but despite this would be the favourite to win the game, but boy did they get a scare this game. Both teams would start off with a rush, and with Empire B holding off the rush quite effectively, it would be a good start for the clan. Despite Kinetic thinking they had taken out their defense, Nico Tears would come in clutch, breaking Kinetic's egg, leaving Empire with the advantage. They would take out 2 of their players, leaving a 6v9 going into deathmatch. In deathmatch, both teams would fight incredibly, but after a crash, Empire was down a player. Despite this, they would bring the fight down to a 5v3, but with some lag and a mistake from Empire B, Kinetic would finally take the win at deathmatch, ending off the game with a victory for Kinetic A on one of the most intense matches this season. The second game would be just as difficult for Kinetic, as Empire held a very solid defense for a long time. Nico Tears, being an absolute god, would take Kinetic's egg for the second time, leaving Kinetic without an egg again. Despite this, Kinetic would have a large gear advantage and would take back the egg, leaving both teams with no eggs. The fight, however, would not go to deathmatch, as Kinetic with their massive gear advantage would take them out, ending the set with a 2-0 victory. Kinetic having a sigh of relief by their 2 close calls, and ending the most entertaining set of the season. The final game of the week would be True A versus True B, both teams being pretty equal, but thanks to the lack of defense from True, Midanashi would break the egg without needing to block in. They would go on and wipe the rest of the team with ease, concluding the first game 1-0. Game 2 would go very similarly, with Julian getting a pretty fast obby block but would fail to get the egg due to True B's massive amount of defense. Despite this, they would come back and take the egg, and would clear out the rest of True B without a problem, ending the set in a 2-0 victory, and concluding the end of week 1. The scores for each group currently are on screen now. They can change very much in the future, as some clans have only played 1 game, as opposed to some clans playing 2. Again, thank you so much for watching. Week 2 will be coming out at some point whenever I feel like editing it. Feel free to subscribe if you like this content, and go and check out Circuit. They are the ones tirelessly putting this event together, and have done a great job of doing so. Link to the channel will be in the description below. See ya!